I'll show you how in less than a half an hour you can take one of your old winter hats and make a brimmed beanie. So brimmed beanies are really popular nowadays. You can get them on Amazon between $15 and $30. You can get the ones by First Light, which you see on Meat Eater. Those are between $30 and $35. If you're like me and live in Michigan, you probably have a big old tote or several totes full of old winter hats and scarves. So why not turn some of these old winter hats that you never use into a brimmed beanie? Now, the first thing is the pattern. I originally made these just based on guessing on what the brim would be like. I made some really small ones. I realized they're too small. Then I made another size up, tested those out. They seemed also still a little too small. So the final pattern I have, which I'll put a link to down in the description, you can download and print off on a standard letter 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, are these. I have a small and a large size pattern. You can just print it off on a piece of paper and then trace it onto some type of plastic. And the plastic that I found works the best is an old plastic milk container. You want something that's can bend back and forth, be kind of beat up and bent and fold and not crack. So maybe like an apple juice container might be too brittle. You want something really bendable that's not going to break. Now for most cases, I think you would use the small brim. And for example, this is how it's going to sit from temple to temple on either side. And it'll have a slight curve to it. So for most cases, the small brim is the one you would use. Again, with the pattern, one thing to note, when you cut this pattern out, it's okay to have a curve in it. And that actually works with the old milk carton because it's curved. So try to get the curve facing down because the brim is going to sit on your hat like this and you kind of want it curved downward a little bit. And to actually set the brim in place, I'm going to use this hat and this small brim, the small one. You just slip it in on, and then you can bend it outward. So it's flat against my head there, and then I'm bending it outward, and that's how it's going to sit. So we want to sew it at that angle. So we're going to pin everything around here, but when we sew it, we don't want it flat down. We actually want it at a 90-degree angle from your head. So we have our hat, and this is the back side, and I've pinned this cuff into place where it wants to sit. Now, we flip it over, and we're going to add our brim. And now we're going to want to pin this side into place so it doesn't move. So now we have the back side pinned and we have the front side pinned with the brim in there. And now we're going to take our chalk and we're going to kind of feel where that brim is so we know where we're going to be sewing. Just kind of a guide. So when we sew, we kind of want to catch a little bit of the brim and a little bit of just above the brim. The sewing stitch, here's a guide I made that's all the different stitches I have. The stitch you want is something like this A here. I have it on A1. It's just a simple zigzag stitch back and forth. So now we're ready to sew, and now this is where you want to position it, how it's actually going to be worn. So the hat is straight up and down this way, and the brim is going to be flat. And like with a lot of tools, just let the tool do the work, let the sewing machine do the work. It should feed right on through. So after a quick 20-30 seconds of sewing, you can remove the pins, wipe off the chalk, test it out. I think that's pretty good. If you screw up a little, you can take that thread right out just with a thread puller and re-sew it so the brim's more at a 90-degree angle, or maybe you didn't catch the edge right. And again, it's important to get this curved line here, nice and smooth. And you can adjust when you're sewing it if you want it standing out more, standing down more. And here's one I sewed a couple days later out of an old orange hunting hat. But you could try with all different sorts of hats. I got a whole bunch of hats here. Just cut out different patterns and try it out. So I hope you like it. It's a little less than 1 hour project from start to finish, and you can get a really cool brimmed beanie from hats you have lying around your house. So let me know what you think. Thanks.